One. All right, this is Patrick Rogers, and today we have the privilege to have Brandon Barnum on the show. And Brandon is the CEO of HOA.com. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Oh, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. So a little bit about Brandon. He's the CEO of HOA.com, which is revolutionizing the call came in there, which is revolutionizing homeowner associations and connecting homeowners to professionals they can trust. Brandon has built numerous technology companies, including his last, which had over 5 million members in 190 countries. He's also the author of the #1 best-selling book, Raving Referrals, and Raving Referrals for Dentists, and is highly sought after expert in referrals, joint ventures, and business growth. Brandon lives in Phoenix, Arizona with his wife for life, Marlo, who's been married to for over 26 years. Congratulations on that, man. And they have 3 amazing children together. So Brandon, very impressive. I can't wait to dive into HOA and referrals and just all of that. Before we do though, what's one interesting fact about yourself that not many people know?
Not many people know that I was raised by lesbians. So my parents got divorced when I was 4, and mom decided she was going to be a hippie lesbian. So I had a very unique childhood, much different than anybody else, any other man I've ever met my age. So that was a very different upbringing, and I'd say that's something that not many people know.
Yeah, so with every situation, there's positives, there's things that came out. But what do you think for you was like one of the biggest positives that came out of that situation?
I think adaptability, honestly. I mean, I always knew I was loved, and my dad moved up to Seattle, Washington. We lived in Portland, Oregon, so it was about 3 hours away. And
Yeah,
I never really had much of a relationship with him, but just adaptability. Not only was she, I call her a hippie lesbian, because we moved every single year. So
yeah.
I went to 7 different schools in 7 years.
Wow,
And it
wow.
forced me to constantly know how to meet new people and
Make
get
new
out of my
friends.
shell. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was
So
huge.
so do you think that helped you like become more social and be able to communicate better with people too?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is that's who God made me to be anyway. So I
Okay.
am more socially
Yeah.
overt and outgoing, but definitely that experience helped me sharpen the saw and develop the skill set.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, again, welcome to the show. Tell us about HOA.com, man.
Yeah, so at HOA.com, we're on a mission, as you said, to revolutionize homeowner associations. And really, we started the company wanting to create like the BNI power team for
Mm,
professionals who serve homeowners. So at the core, this is a referral network. That's who we are and what we do.
interesting.
People
Interesting.
join our referral network, and then we recommend them to professionals. We do background checks, make sure they're a well-respected and an expert professional. But then what we're doing is we're creating community pages for every neighborhood in America. And we teach what we call hyper local social farming, and really connecting
Mm,
people within the community so that
wow.
neighbors know each other and then know the pros who serve them.
Gotcha. So I used to be in the property management industry, and so I used to do, HOA would stand obviously for homeowner associations, and that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this. And so, does that do you get that confusion quite a bit?
I get the question all the time, and
Question
we
all the time.
started the company as the Homeowner
Right. Right.
Alliance.com. And so that
Yeah.
was the domain we started with. And then once we acquired HOA.com, we knew we had to address that market and help fix that gap. And what's interesting is there's 370,000 HOAs in the
Uh
US.
huh. Right.
53% of all homeowners live in an HOA. But Patrick, if I ask you what's the #1 national brand that you think of when it comes
Uh
to
huh.
homeowner associations,
Right.
what
Right.
comes to mind?
What's the #1 brand of HOA associations? Oh, I don't know.
That's the #1 answer we get is I don't know. The #2
Yeah.
answer is there isn't any.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's this massive, you're talking about 74 million Americans
right.
who all identify as living in an HOA, and yet nobody's really addressing the underlying issue, which causes people to say every time I introduce myself as the CEO of HOA.com, typically what I hear is, I hate my HOA.
Oh, HOAs are, yes, they're very much hated. They're
So we're
very
on a
much
mission
not
to change all
appreciated.
that. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So walk us through a little bit of your journey. So you started the company how long ago?
Started the company 4 years ago. I had sold my previous referral network. We built a company called Refer.com and built that up to 5 million members in, like I said,
Wow.
190 plus countries. And so exited that in 2019 and then started this shortly thereafter.
Gotcha. What have been some of your biggest lessons learned in your ventures, whether with Referral.com or HOA.com? What have been some of your biggest kind of like as a CEO, like things that you'll be able to implement and just things that have, allowed you to be more successful?
So many. I mean, one of the things I've always hired business coaches because I learn from others, and it's helpful to
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
somebody looking at your
Absolutely.
business from the
Oh,
outside
totally.
and giving you feedback. So, one of the things that I learned early on was to always be asking what's important now or what's
Mm,
important next. And that's really my definition of win, right? So, what I teach is throughout the day, you should be constantly asking yourself, what's the most important thing I can do right now that's going to make the biggest impact in our enterprise? But with the CEO, if I was wearing my CEO hat, what I would say
right there it
is,
is. Love it.
yeah, yeah. I use this when I'm speaking just to help
Uh-huh.
people identify the difference of acting in your business or working on your business.
Mm,
But, with the CEO hat, it's always about how can you communicate the vision of the organization, ensuring that all of the stakeholders understand what's required of them to make the entire mission a success. And I can tell you're a military man, and thank you for your
yep.
service.
Absolutely, man.
We've hired as our COO a retired captain in the Navy. And
Okay.
this is a man who oversaw 412,000 troops and a
Yep.
$518 billion budget because
Yep.
we love our military. We're passionately patriotic about our company, our country, and we want to operate our country, or sorry, our company with that military excellence and
Love it.
precision.
Yeah. And I think you said that that's one of the things that you've kind of you actually try to work with veterans as much as you can.
We hire veterans whenever possible. My co-founder is former Army. Our director of coaching is former Army.
Very
We've
cool.
got several people in the organization that are retired veterans, and we've created virtual salute. So one of the things that we're doing is we want to connect our communities. So we create community impact events and campaigns. And one of the things that we do is a virtual salute campaign, right?
Mm,
Get everybody to celebrate the veterans in their lives that often go unthanked and unnoticed.
wow. What does that mean, virtual salute?
So it means that it's a social media campaign where they post
Oh.
their salute to
Oh, okay.
somebody that they're grateful for their
Oh, that's
service.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So I love that concept because, coming from the military, there's just so much thought leadership. There's so much leadership that's taught there and management. And there's that integrity and value that it's hard to replace. It's hard to find elsewhere.
And what an amazing country we have. And so if we're not grateful for it, we shouldn't be living in it. That's my opinion. But
Yeah.
we're part of what we're doing here at HOA.com is we're creating a veteran business alliance. We want homeowners to be able to hire a veteran to take care of their home if they so choose. So we're adding in a filter into our search engine so that homeowners can hire veterans specifically, veterans can partner with others,
Love it.
and will have a special badge within their profile to acknowledge those who have served.
Gotcha. So were you in the military?
I wasn't myself. My
Yeah.
grandfather was, and my father
Okay.
was.
So how did you come across this, the concept of, hey man, I want to do this, stick to the veteran thing.
It came really from my grandfather. My grandfather was in the Navy. He was an intelligence officer. He helped
Yeah.
crack the Japanese code, and he was a POW throughout
Wow.
the
Oh,
entirety
no way.
of World War II. So I
Wow.
think just hearing about his
Yeah.
stories of service, and that wasn't the calling on my life,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
always been passionately patriotic
Very
about
cool.
the country.
Very
And so
cool.
I've met so many great veterans over the years, and we just want to give back. There is a company called Veteran Vanguard, and Kathy, comes from the Air Force, and she's passionate about helping companies hire veterans. And so I just love her book. beyond thank you for your service. I think it's a great example for those of us who haven't served to be able to partner and acknowledge those who have.
Gotcha. Yeah, very cool. And you know, so many people say it's all about you know, the company. You know, you can have the best strategy, you can have the best you know, systems, technology, but if you don't have the people to run those systems and the technologies, then you're still just, you know, you're chasing your own tail. So great job on recognizing that and getting the best,
Well,
investing in the
thank you.
best.
And it's really about community, right? At the core,
Yeah.
what we find is that, and I've heard a lot of horror stories from people that have come back from active duty, especially overseas in active situations. And once they retire from the military, they don't have a mission. So they lose identity.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the biggest factors that
Yeah.
we see. And we want to fill that void by giving people purpose again, giving them a new campaign and getting them connected inside their local community.
Yeah, that's really cool that you recognize that. And yes, I mean, that's what us as men, you know, and women, you know, perhaps depending, you know, that we need that purpose in life. We need
Absolutely.
that driving force, something that's bigger than us, or else we all just kind of get complacent, turn into marshmallow puffs, right? And just kind of lose our, like you said, lose our identity. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So another thing in our pre-call, you were talking, one of the things that's really led to your success is making sure that you have the right mentors and leaders.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Leadership is so important. And I was blessed years ago to have a Christian business group that I connected with, a business coach that I had hired. And he invited me to participate in this group. And it ended up being 12 Christian CEOs. And we met once a month for 6 hours talking about all the stuff that we were going through. And that process really helped form my professional career and just taught me so many insights, not only from the business coach, but also being alongside other business leaders and just doing life together. I think it's so important for people to be connected and to have other people in your life that'll tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, it sounds like you've got these communities of other business owners that are they don't really necessarily have any personal interest in, you know, or investment in what you're doing, you know, other than just you're a colleague or a friend, you know, so there's that investment. But somebody who are totally unbiased and have experience in that, and somebody that you can rely on to, you know, get some advice from.
Yeah, it's huge. You know, when you run an organization, my experience has been I find a lot of people will agree with what my opinion is, and sometimes it's not right. And so you need someone that's willing to tell you the truth or a different perspective. Maybe they
Yeah.
just see things differently from an outside view. And so it's really important to have those people in your life that can guide you to make wise decisions.
Yeah. And I know another thing you mentioned is that you make sure to hire people from diverse backgrounds and industries.
Absolutely. Again, it's all about different perspectives, right? And especially the mission that we're on, you know, we not only want to transform and revolutionize how homeowner associations are run, but it's really about connecting communities. And that means people of all walks of life that may not share your perspective on politics or religion or sexuality. And so, one of the challenges that I face as CEO of HOA.com is I have to be centrist. I have to hold the standards of the organization while still respecting every individual's personality and perspective.
Love it. I love it, man. So one of the things we talk about too in is what's the biggest failure that you learned from as a CEO? And you said it was actually about making referrals itself.
Yeah, well, I'd say my biggest referral flaw was I had a client that called me up one day, and this was a VP of Intel. I used to be in the mortgage business. He had done several loans with me, but he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, I just wanted to check in. How are things going with Mike Lewis?" And I said, "Oh, it's awesome. We had just closed his loan a few weeks ago." And there was this long pause on the call. And he says, "Would you like some coaching? Would it be okay if I give you some coaching?" I said, "Yeah, feedback is the breakfast of champions. I'd love to hear what you have to say."
Yeah.
And he said, "Number one, when people give you a referral, it's a really good idea to thank them for their referral." Number two, it's a
Step one,
really good idea to update them about
update
what's
them.
going on,
Yeah.
right, with that client. And I felt like such an idiot because I mean, I literally had 30 loan officers working for me, and I had my own
Mm,
brokerage at that point.
mhm,
But I had just failed myself. And then I recognized my own failure in my personal business was also a failure of leadership because
mm.
I was missing the gap, that gap. And so I wasn't empowering my people either. So the good news is that that feedback allowed us to change the way that we managed the process. And then we made
Mm.
that we created referral thank you cards and a whole process for acknowledging the people that had given us business.
You know, it's funny, Brandon. So many people think that when you get a referral, that what they're looking for or what will ensure that you get another referral is to give them a $5 or $10 Starbucks card. And it's not. I mean, that's kind of nice, right? It's all good. And the thank you is good. But
Yeah,
have you ever heard of Steven Chandler?
I haven't. No.
He's one of the most premier business coaches out there. Definitely one of my mentors. I didn't mentor him personally, but that's one of his things. It's exactly what you said, is that here's how you ensure you get referrals is you update them in the process, not just once. Like, hey, you know, if you made the call to the guy, just shoot your friend a text or shoot a quick email. Hey, just wanted to let you know, had an intro call with John. It went great. I'm going to be able to help him out. We have a follow-up call next Wednesday. Next Wednesday comes, you have that. Hey, John, just wanted to let you know we had the call with him. It's going to be awesome. We're going to help him save whatever, you know, not, you can't do into too many personal details, but that update along the way has been so powerful. And I love hearing that from you, Brandon. That's fantastic, man.
It's so important. And you're right about what we call referral rewards. Now, in my experience, about half of people are okay getting compensated for referrals. The other half do not want to get paid at all.
Yeah.
And a token gesture of a gift card is fine. Nobody's going to turn that away. But you know, one of the things that I teach is, depending on your industry, you may want to consider adding an affiliate plan. We call it referral rewards, and
Sure.
we recognize and monetize the people that send us business. And now we've
Yeah,
got people
totally.
that are acting as ambassadors that are actively out there scouting for business for us. Not a fit for everybody, but you're absolutely right. Everyone should be thanking the people that give them referrals. Everyone should be updating the
Updating.
people
Yeah.
that give them
Yeah.
referrals. And in the process, they feel heard, they feel respected, and they feel included. And that leads them to refer you more.
Exactly. And they know that you're taking care of the person because that's our reputation. That's the big thing, right?
Right.
Is my reputation being upheld? I have no idea if Brandon took care of that guy, right? Well, in this case, you know, you do. So,
You know, it's
um,
funny that you mentioned that, Patrick. I do a fair amount of speaking on stages. And one of the things that I'll ask people is,
yeah.
have you ever had somebody that you referred to and
Mhm.
later you came across the client or the person that you were referring them to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they say, hey, I never even heard from that person.
Absolutely.
And everybody's hand goes up, right?
Yep. Yep.
So follow through and following up. We always say the fortune's in the follow up, and
Yep.
you've got to follow up and follow through. And when you do, you stand out from your competition, and people trust you more, and so they refer you more.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. That's an amazing nugget right there. Price of admission for the podcast. Anybody listening, so you get your referrals down, and that leads us into the next question. I know where we're going to go with this. So, you know, if you were going to hire a CEO for the reins of your company, what's the one book that you'd require he or she read before they take over?
Hmm. Yeah, you know what comes to mind as you say that is Good to Great. That book
Phenomenal book. Yeah,
had a
Jim
huge
Collins. Yeah.
impact on me, and that was one of the books that we read in that CEO group.
Yeah.
So I thought that is such a time-tested a book on management and leadership, and the principles are so
Mhm.
critical for any CEO. So that made the biggest difference on me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we were talking about referrals and this process and what you coach and teach. You actually have a book yourself called Raving Referrals. I'd love if you could share that with everybody.
Yeah, Raving Referrals. And actually, we have a second book called Raving Referrals for Dentists, just for the dental
Okay.
industry.
Yep.
And
Awesome.
then the next one's coming out, Raving Referrals for Mortgage Pros. So we've
Oh,
got
cool.
20 different titles coming out just because my
Nice.
mentor is Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And
Oh,
he said,
wow.
don't write a book, build a brand. And so that's
Yeah.
what we've done. But the
Yeah.
book really teaches you the critical elements of how to boost your business by referral. And, one of the things that we give away is called the Referral Partner Blueprint. One of the things that we find is that people really don't know how to partner with others who are serving your same perfect prospect. And so
Hmm.
that's part of what we teach is how do you partner? Who do you partner with? How do you do it? And then how do you ensure that you're cross promoting and cross referring each other so that everyone's got more visibility and more business?
Love that, man. I love it. Fantastic. Um, let me take a few minutes, if I can, Brandon, just kind of summarize some of my key takeaways from our time on the show today. One was as a CEO, being very cognizant and conscious of what's important next. What can I be working on? What's the thing that I should be doing that'll have the most impact on the company? And you put on your CEO hat. I love that because sometimes you wear the CEO hat and sometimes you don't. We work in the company and we're not wearing the CEO hat. When we're working on the company, we put the CEO hat on, and we're working on and focusing on communicating that vision of the organization. And I love that kind of that draw on the line in the sand kind of mentality around that. And right. And more advanced we go, we didn't really talk about it, but the more advanced we go and the larger we get in the company, the less and less time we should be working in, and the more and more we should be wearing that CEO hat. So I think that's that's good stuff. The other thing we talked about and this is where there's a huge opportunity, and it's let go of our ego, but have the right mentors, right? Let go of the ego and the thought that you know it all and have it all down. And because a lot of times there's stages in a company where you get capped out to what you know and what your knowledge and skill set level is, and then surrounding yourself with other people that can help you bridge the gap and get to the next level. And it sounds like that's been very powerful for you. And the last one for me to take away from today is, and for everybody on here too, is just the right way to handle referrals. And if I were you, I would grab Brandon's book and knock that out of the park, and referrals can take your company to the next level. So
Referrals are key to your growth and also partnerships. Really look for
yeah,
people and companies that you can partner with where they're already serving the types of clients that you're looking to serve, and you can
right.
add value and solve the challenges of their clients.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're already servicing your target market, absolutely. Let me ask you, Brandon, if there was one takeaway that you would really want the audience to absorb from our time together today, what would that be?
I think overall, one of the biggest factors is really being intentional. I call it living life by design.
Mm,
Create goals for yourself, not only for your company, but also for your personal life, right? Who do you want to be? How do you want your family to live? I went through this exercise years ago, but I literally have pages and pages of goals. I have my goals written down through the year
well,
2050. People
wow.
I want to partner with, companies I want to partner with, places I want to go and visit, books I plan to write and read. So get intentional and live life by design. And I have a feeling, Patrick, that your listeners are doing that, and salute you for everything that you're doing, my friend.
Very good. Awesome. Well, hey, Brandon, if any of our listeners want to get a hold of you, I know it's on your screen here, but some people will just be listening since it's a podcast. Is it okay if I just kind of read that off, read your email so people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. And I'd say the best place to find out more about me is at brandonbarnum.com. You can go check that
Oh,
out.
cool.
Yeah. But you
And
can email
that's,
me unless you want to go ahead. Patrick, go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. So it's Brandon at HOA.com, and how you spell Brandon's last name is Barnum, Barnum. So it's BrandonBarnum.com. Awesome. So Brandon, again, thanks for being on the show, man. This was a great session.
My pleasure, Patrick. Thanks for your leadership. I appreciate and applaud you. And it sounds like that you've got a lot of great books behind you, I can see. So clearly you're a man that's all about leadership.
Yes, and Good to Great is one of them. Absolutely. So cool. Well, this is for the listeners. Please hit the like and subscribe button and help us spread the word about what we're doing. We're helping the next generation of CEOs and leaders be that much more successful. With that, thank you again, Brandon, and we'll see everyone on the next episode. Thanks a lot.